We got Sage Rain in the building. I'm familiar with this channel. I actually like this channel a lot. I've been watching this guy for like maybe what 2 years, maybe three. I don't know. I don't remember, but I remember we watched the Kakashi video a long time ago. I don't know if I watched it on this channel, but I'm definitely interested in watching more Sage Rain from the channel. It's definitely a really good, really good channel. So link in the description. Check out this Uncle Iroh video, especially really amazing. Helps you grow, helps you become a better, more intellectual, more wise person, I believe. But yeah, let's check out Sage's Reign, The Cost of Being a Good Man. Yakuza 0. I already know it's going to be deep. Spoilers for Yakuza
Toni
Kiwami.
Morrison writes that goodness is fascinating, that you have to be an adult to consciously, deliberately be good, and that's complicated. A good man's life is not easy.
True.
At every turn, he faces a difficult choice. Compromise his morals and ideals and make the easy choice, or suffer the consequences of good. Yakuza 0 is nothing but a plethora of these choices. This game's story ultimately tells us that good men do not choose to do good for material or superficial reasons. They choose them because they are aware of the color of their souls, and mindful of the venom that inches forward begging to corrode their spirit. They do not choose good to win. They do not choose good for any particular reason, except that every fiber of their being tells them that it is the correct choice to make, that it's right, no matter what consequences await them on the other side of these choices. As Majima says in this story,
it's a hard life. How do you think you know about
Kiryu
me?
could just strong-arm his way into gaining everything he ever wanted. If Kiryu were a different man, he could truly bury a clan with his own hands because he is that powerful. But he chooses to do the right thing over and over again, and these have major consequences.
Absolutely.
For as all-powerful as he is, one of his biggest flaws is his naivete and his stubbornness. In Zero, Kiryu joins and sees the Yakuza as a good organization filled with stand-up men. Filled with men like his foster father, Shintaro Kazuma, and like his brother, Nishikiyama. But as this game's story quickly unfolds, he learns that, like Awano, Kuze, and Shibusawa, the majority of men in the Yakuza world are motivated by money, power, and glory. And Kiryu quickly learns why. The world is filled with vices and temptation, filled with envy. And when desperation calls, anything is on the table for nearly anyone. It's natural, people don't want to suffer through hard times and endure. They want to be free from these situations in the easiest and simplest ways possible. Stepping into the darkness is an easy choice. In the very first chapter, Kiryu is offered a way out. Take the fall for a murder he did not commit. And instead of being so worried about what will happen to him if he doesn't, Kiryu is focused on the man who was murdered. He is taken aback by the fact that in this world, murdering is so easy. Throughout this game and the entire series, Kiryu by all means very well could have and probably should have become jaded. His soul should have been tainted. He's not a perfect man, and he comes close to it a few times in this series. In this game, he would have killed Shibusawa if it wasn't for Nishiki coming to save him from crossing that line. Kiryu has been framed for murder, hunted down by his own sworn family. When Kiryu chooses to be a good person, he loses so much, and it's a recurring theme over the course of this series. How much can a man take? How good can a man be, even when it costs him everyone around him? In the second game alone, Kiryu takes the fall for Nishiki's actions, leading him to go to prison for a decade. And because of that one choice, because of that one action, Kiryu loses Kazuma, the man he considered his father, he lost his brother Nishiki, and he lost his lover Yumi, all in one game. And time again, Kiryu is faced with these decisions to blacken his soul, to choose the easier path, and he never falters. He endures so much loss, so much tragedy, because he is so hell-bent on sacrificing himself. He's just that stubborn. That's his nature. And he is like that to every single person he meets. Countless side quests meeting people who come from all walks of life. It ranges from sex workers and homeless people to some random guy who got his heart broken. And Kiryu helps all of these people because he loves to do it. Every choice he makes, whether it's out of his own stubbornness, he makes it out of love. Kiryu is a man who yearns for love in all aspects of his life, regardless if that road that is paved to it, to love, in the Yakuza world is one that is riddled with tragedy. But it's because of that he suffers the most. Kiryu often bites off more than he can chew, and he rarely, if ever, asks for help. That's his problem. This series investigates Kiryu's necessity to always bear the weight of everyone around him, especially when it harms him and others close to him, time and again. Kiryu's martyr complex, his absolute driving force to be good, to do good, to protect others because he cannot bear to face a reality where he doesn't, often becomes his undoing. But it's the only way he knows how to show people that he loves them and that he cares for them, is to sacrifice himself for their well-being. Kiryu,
It's a
even
double
at the
edge.
end of the
It's an absolute double edge. Like I don't want to spoil like the Yakuza series because I played all of the games, man, and it's like even even the best possible ending requires Kiryu to leave his family. Like that is it's sad because it's absolutely true because he does so much good that everybody that is bad wants to see him gone. They want to see him disappear because they remind him of something that they will never be because they chose to take the easy route. Because they decided it was better to just fall into the darkness or to toe the line or to listen to somebody else, knowing that in the end it was not a choice that they wanted to make, but it was just easier for them to make it because of the culture that surrounds it or the organization, right? Or to keep a secret, like in Yakuza 6, to keep a secret that nobody can know about for decades. And even the people that you care about, when they become close to the secret that you promised to keep, you have to take their life. Why? Because it it's easier than facing the reality of telling the truth because it's hard to tell the truth. It's hard to be a good person in a world that is corrupt. It's man, it's very powerful, man. I miss the Yakuza series. Like when it came to gaming, Yakuza series, one of the greatest games ever made. At least when it comes to like the narrative and the story behind the story that's being told, the character development, and of course the gameplay is great. But man, it's deep, man. This is a great video.
game
I'm about to
returns to the
cry.
Yakuza, and it's because of this idealized version of the Yakuza he has in his head. The dragon is still
Idealized.
beholden to his ideas that the Yakuza are a noble, honorable organization. In all of his sacrifices, he is trying his best to represent what he believes the organization is. Kiryu is a good man, but that goodness comes back to bite him time and again. That need to be a martyr hurts people around him. It puts them in uncomfortable positions and they don't respond like Kiryu does. Taking the fall for Dojima's murder in the second game turned Nishiki into a man racked with guilt and endlessly compared to his brother. And that broke him. And everyone suffered for it. This series changes if Kiryu doesn't involve himself in every single Yakuza matter. But again, that fiber of his being, he can't help it. His nature is self-sacrifice, but it wears on him. Being a good man wears on him and everyone around him. It's the price of being a good man. Goodness is hard. In the Yakuza world, it's damn near impossible. It's a part of the reason why Kiryu as a character sometimes feels lonely. Of course, because he's lost so many people, but he's also seen good men change. He's seen what that life has done to them. In nearly every Yakuza game, save for Date, Haruka, and maybe a few others, there's always a brand new cast of characters in every game. So many of these people die because Kiryu has chosen to be the beacon of light in an otherwise dark world. But that's just the man that he is. And I think that's why so many in the Yakuza world resent the dragon. Like Kuze, like Awano, because they expect Kiryu to be just like them. They expect that world to break him, like it has broken them.
But it
and
doesn't.
so they are envious that they don't have the resolve that the dragon of Dojima has. Kiryu is not a man motivated by personal gain. He trusts blindly, heedlessly, and recklessly, regardless of the costs. That's how Tachibana described him. And when he met Kiryu, and when he saw the nature of his soul, Tachibana quickly realized how rare he was, and was then immediately willing to sacrifice his life for that man. The cost and the tragedy of being a good man. When we speak about these choices and these tragedies in this game, we have to mention Majima Goro. Majima, just
Yes,
like
we have
Kiryu,
to.
suffers because of his choices. In the early game, he is motivated by his guilt over Seijima, his sworn brother. He claims
Yeah.
that he is willing to do anything to get back in the clan, anything to make up for his wrongdoings. Majima might bend, but he never breaks. Even at rock bottom, where his life has become a performance, when he has become a puppet, Majima still maintains his values and morals, even when he doesn't want to. Again, it's that fiber in one's bones and one's bodies telling them what the right thing to do is. Majima is simply unable to kill Makoto, and that choice at that moment costs him his future. Of course, we learn that it doesn't, but to him, the character in that moment, it did, which makes it an incredibly powerful choice. But I think for Majima, the tragedy exists not only by choosing to save the girl, but it's the fact that he realizes later on that he is a man without agency in his life, controlled by guilt, and yet he doesn't do anything about it. The same clan that has haunted and taken control of his life
He
for
wants
a
to go
choice that
back
he
to
didn't
him.
even make, Majima still returns to Shimano at the end of this game, the very man who destroyed his life, a mad dog walking back to his owner. He realizes that he is a puppet in the massive game that is bigger than him. He is too loyal and too guilty for what he feels he did to his brother, even if it means going back to that man. And after some time, Majima embraces the Mad Dog persona that he has chosen and crafted, based on Nishitani, Lee, and Sagawa, and he changes. There is still remnants of the man who saved that helpless girl, and he is still a decent person relative to so many others in the series, but he does change. He submits to the Yakuza life. He believes that it's his only way to pay his debt, but also to save Makoto from that life, to not drag her down. When you are in the darkness, you choose who to bring down with you. Majima acknowledges
Absolutely.
that he is a prisoner, but at least he will live it on his own terms, becoming the Mad Dog. The way Majima and Kiryu play off each other in this game narratively, the way they are foils for each other, is fascinating. Majima is rather close to Kiryu, not physically, but ideologically. But he isn't as uncompromising as Kiryu, and that's ultimately where their paths diverge. Kiryu is what Majima could have become had he not accepted his circumstances, and if he hadn't been so rigidly tied down to the Yakuza code. And finally, the last good man in this game, Tachibana Tetsu, he too was the result of difficult choices and tragedy, a victim of it. Tachibana, who entered the game out of a need for security and safety, to protect what little of his family he had left, he sacrificed and he suffered throughout this game because he wouldn't give in to the poisonous world that he was entrenched in. And we see that in the sacrifices that Tachibana makes, specifically for Kiryu. For one, offering him safety and security, offering him a way out, a job as a regular civilian, of course driving through a mob of Yakuza to save him, giving up 1,000,000,000 yen for his life. Tachibana was such a good person to Kiryu, and we see that in Kiryu's reaction to the man's death. This game shows us that the world is cruel, that simply because one is a good person, that they are owed a win. Tachibana enduring
Absolutely not.
torture, dialysis, losing an arm, suffering so much just to die when he was so close to seeing his sister. The man who had so much money that he could power Kamurocho for a moment. He had enough money to get anything he ever wanted, except for his little sister. Yakuza 0 is a tragedy of two people chasing a life that they truly do not need, but a life that they keep on choosing because they feel that there is nothing else. While this game might end with so much tragedy, you still leave the game feeling that being a good man is worth it. The good men redefine what being a man is. They are the ones who do not sully their souls with pointless
Absolutely.
aspirations. I think a big part of what makes Majima and Kiryu such lovable characters is that they have the ability to quite literally step on anyone to gain whatever they want. But they are strong enough to choose kindness. Kiryu in particular is a man who chooses kindness at every single juncture in his life. But that is what makes him the dragon of Dojima. It's what makes him the ideal that everyone in these games wants to aspire to. He is the man that everybody should strive to become more like.
And that's the hard part. People want to strive to be like Kiryu. But if they realize all the stuff that he has to go through, and he faces these challenges 9 times out of 10 alone, a lot of people would realize that maybe it's not worth it. Maybe they shouldn't try and follow in this man's footsteps, even though it's definitely it's a path worth pursuing just for the sake of bringing something good into the world. It comes with a lot of self-sacrifice, a lot of it. And even if you're willing to sacrifice it like Tachibana, you end up dead. But then again, what's better? Living a life that's not fulfilling, or to die a death that's beneficial to majority of people, or a lot of people that won't even realize how impactful that your death was. Right? We have statues of all these great people in life that have changed the world, that have enacted their will. And usually, whenever they've done this during their life, they were hated. Nobody respected them besides a silent minority. But then that minority doesn't stay silent for long. And they march with these people. And then when the figurehead is finally taken out of commission, then everybody realizes, wow, we just lost somebody that was very dear and very special to this world. But while they were walking on this earth, nobody with power, anyways, gave them the benefit of doubt. Nobody reflected and said, maybe we should change, because it's easier to toe that line. It's easier to stay in the darkness. And it's a sad reality of life, man. But that shouldn't stop you from wanting to pursue good, to pursue the light. It's important. And at the end of the day, somebody has to do it, because if nobody does it, then nothing changes and everything just gets worse. And even you, like, you put your head in the sand, or you try and stay in your bubble that, like, oh, nothing can touch me here. I'm safe here. This safeness is a facade, and it can be popped at any moment, any moment. And if you aren't tough enough to defend it or to fight back, then you'll just fall in line, and you'll end up becoming somebody else's puppet. But it's easier than being a good man. And that's the hard part. It's such a great video. Sage Rain, man, such a great
A
video.
good man.
Such a great video. Such a great video. Absolutely amazing. But yeah, definitely check out Sage's Rain. Sage's Rain's channel. It's really, 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 really good. Really, really good. But yeah, that is the story in the life of a good man. What being a good man does to you. Let's see. I believe it's probably going to be one of his popular videos. I think I watched this Kakashi video, Itachi video. This Zuko video is really good. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Man, the Azula video is good too. 7 years ago? It's been 7 years? Man, that's crazy. But yeah, shout out to Sage's Rain, man. Definitely, yeah, here the Obito video. I watched this 6 years ago. That's crazy. Because I remember Sage Rain, he was at 5,000 subscribers, I believe, when I first watched him. When I subscribed, yeah, like 5,000. Congratulations on 400,000. Very, very, very much deserved. Very, very much deserved. 167 videos, 2017. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, this is a really good video, really cool video. And again, like, to end the video on a more positive note, just because it's hard to be a good person doesn't mean you shouldn't try to be a good person. Anyways, it's your boy KhunShawn. And remember, good and bad is subjective. Think for yourself and have a good one. Peace.